Why? Because God offers to give us supernatural joy through our fears and pain and suffering. For just a moment, look at chapter 5 of Matthew. Because remember, I told you there's nothing new in Revelation. There's no brand new first time ever mentioned things in here. All of it is just reminders. Chapter 5, and you can see the reference right there on the slide, starting in verse 10. Listen to what Jesus said. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you. And he describes forms of persecution we can all relate to. When they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake, rejoice. Now look at this. This is supernatural. And be exceedingly glad. Really? So when people are harming me and threatening me and scaring me and persecuting me, I'm supposed to just be happy? See, that's humanly impossible. What Jesus said is, I offer to you, see the slide, supernatural joy through your fears, your pains, your suffering, your persecution. Now for just a minute, you see on the slide there, I want to tell you about my friend Boaz. I'll never forget when I met him. I was in college. A lot of you watching this are in college or in a Bible Institute or something. And I was on a summer missions trip, and we were delivering 1,800 Bibles to Romania. We drove from Germany to Romania, saw the Lord get us across several communist country borders. We parked outside where we were supposed to, this factory, and our leaders said, just park there, and the man that comes up and gets in the front seat without saying a word is the one you're supposed to follow. And I thought, boy, this sounds dangerous. So we parked across the street from the factory in our van with 1,800 Bibles, and all of a sudden this man walked straight out the gate, walked around to the passenger side, got in the front seat, and said, that way. And for the next 2 weeks, every day we picked him up from work, and he said, that way. And he took us from house to barn to house to village across the country of Romania, delivering those 1,800 Bibles. He only spoke a couple words of English. That way were about the extent of his English. When we got to the first place, hours and hours of driving later, we looked at our sheet. We were supposed to deliver 20 Bibles. I picked up 20 Bibles out of our car. I brought them like this, and this man Boaz put his hands out to receive the Bibles. But this part of his hand, I could see as the Bibles went in his hand. Do you see what I'm wiggling, my fingers? I looked at his fingernails. I'd never seen fingernails like that. His fingernails were, I don't have anything, well, they were between these two colors. Dark. The fingernails were thick. I mean, they were thick enough to be like cedar shakes for shingles. They were thick, like a 1/4 inch thick. And I thought, huh. And all night long, as he stuck his hands up, I started seeing those fingernails. Well, we worked together for a whole week, and I've never seen a man like that. He worked all day, rode all night, would fall asleep between places when he was directing us where to go. With his little brown fingernails, he radiated what I now believe is supernatural joy. I found out later when the ministry of that summer was over, I asked our leader in Germany, I said, what was the thing with the guy with the brown fingernails? Does he paint them that way? And the man said, oh, you met Boaz. He said, he's been captured almost every year that he helps deliver the Bibles. The Romanian police tie his hands down on a bench, so he has to crouch over like this. And while they're telling him what's coming, the police chief takes his jackknife and a little piece of pine wood and cuts off little sharp splinters, jams them under each of his fingernails his hands are tied down to the bench, and while that man is talking to him, he turns on his cigarette lighter and comes around and lights all of those splinters that are underneath his fingernails. And they burn up underneath and totally disfigure and horrific pain. They torment him. Well, we came back the next year, by the way. Boaz came a year later, hopped in, but he wasn't quite the same. And I found out that they went from finger torture to that year after our group, they tied him down on the same bench and took a rubber hose. And they beat his feet, taking turns, the police, by the hour, so that it so damaged the nerves in his feet, he could not stand upright and couldn't go to work for 6 months. Yet 12 months later, he jumped into our car. The Lord said, no matter what danger is coming your way, I offer you supernatural joy. That's what Jesus promised. It's true. I saw it in his life.